I don't know if this shit, I don't know if my last live or stream, I don't know if my last stream saved or not, but bro, we can continue where we left off. I really hope it's saved, but it's not showing that it's saved. But we're gonna continue where we left off. My stupid ass was trying to fucking make sure my surge protector don't fall on the ground. That bitch was falling. I had to get that hoe. And my stupid ass, they clicked the fucking button on top of that bitch, the switch on top of that bitch. I didn't even click that whole bit. I slightly went over to the other side, bro. That bitch killed everything. Everything? Everything. Oh, bro. But we're back, and we're finna go back to... I say should pick up right where we left off. Because I really forgot what the fuck I was saying.
Ordinary dish soaps can leave invisible grease behind. Only Dawn Platinum removes 99% of grease.
I'm pretty sure it's about the villain though. I just don't remember exactly what I was saying.
Protect yourself against them with Paul.
Meanwhile, is assigned to be a witness to our full military history. Kind of like Forrest Gump. Logan stops Yashida from stabbing himself just in time, but in a way you could see dooming him to seeing the horror of the aftermath of the bomb and setting his own history on a different trajectory than it would have been.
Yeah, bruh. And bro, I know I cannot be the only one who thought this shit, bro. Bro. Is it just me, or this villain motive was stupid? Like, if this villain would have had a better motive, this would have been a way better movie. Like I said, it would have been on Logan type level. But bruh, make it make sense. Make it make sense, please, because bruh, dude saved your ass from committing suicide. Bitch, you was going straight to fucking hell. You was going straight to fucking hell. Bro, stopped your ass. And he didn't even have to. Didn't even have to. But this nigga stopped you from killing yourself, directed you to a safe spot. Used himself, bro, used himself as a shield for your bitch ass. And you saw the damages the bomb did, and you just watched this nigga regenerate in front of you, and you didn't ask for a little piece of the serum or whatever this nigga got, you know, just a little blood. You really trying to drain this motherfucker life force. Like, you weren't even trying to reverse him. You weren't even trying to reverse it. You was dead ass trying to kill this nigga because you know he's old as hell. He's been through wars. Bro. Just so his bitch ass can live. When he was trying to kill himself. Because, yo, I don't owe you shit. You making it seem like I owe you this? Like, come on, bro. I guess that made him a good villain because I was just pissed the fuck off at his ass. But bro. You really wanted this nigga power. And just say fuck him. You think that you know that, oh, he wants to die. Like, woo. Like, you think that he wants to die. Like, even if that's the case, nobody actually wants to die. Nobody. They just want a better life. This nigga is going through the aftermath of stabbing his fucking girlfriend. Wasn't even his girlfriend. It was a bitch he was in love with. You feel me? Like, come on. He's going through some shit. So, of course, this nigga gonna feel this way. But that doesn't mean you gonna drag your old ass into my fucking old ass life, thinking that you know what the fuck I need, and it's exactly what he don't want or whatever. Like, he's, bruh. Take a shot to that. Real life. What time it is? 8 o'clock. Take a shot to that. Cause that's fucking stupid. It's so fucking stupid. Like, they really could have had a better motive for that. They really could have had a better motive for that. Like, bruh. Take a shot right quick. Yo. Me personally, if I was the villain, check me out. Boom. The beginning goes exactly how it goes because you can't avoid that. You can't avoid that. Boom. So boom. Years later, decades, centuries, whatever. Bro. Years later, boom. He just so happily goes to the villain hometown, you feel me? Boom. Somebody figure out he there, or he figure out he's there and want him to meet him or thank him in person type shit. Whoop the woo. Bam. Bro. After that, the nigga could have died. Straight like that. You know, I understand the love interest, that's his father or whatever, but he could have died. After he thanked him for saving his life, no matter what the fuck he thought, bro, he could have died right there. And let the fucking ninjas, assassins, be the fucking villains. And be like, you traded his life for his, and now he's dead. Like, just some stupid shit like that. That would have made more sense than this nigga looking at the fucking damages the bomb did and deciding, I deserve that power now because I don't want to die. I was saved for a reason. Like, bitch. It don't make no sense. Please, make it make sense. I swear to G, bro, that would make life so much fucking easier. But, bro, let's get back to this fucking video, because I could talk about this shit all fucking day, bro.
It was actually criticized by directors like Spike Lee for not showing the devastation of these bombings, but in fairness, we already got a pretty horrific look at it in movies like this. And really, the whole point of Oppenheimer was to confine that dread and that guilt within the mind of one man, the inventor of the weapon. Logan, meanwhile, is assigned to be a witness to our full military history. Kind of like Forrest Gump. Logan stops Yashida from stabbing himself just in time, but in a way you could see dooming him to seeing the horror of the aftermath of the bomb and setting his own history on a different trajectory than it would have been. But if you flee back into the well, Logan shields him with what I assume is a lead lid. It's kind of like Indiana Jones surviving the atomic bomb in a fridge, but you know, it looks way cooler. And I love this detail of how a cut in this metal exposes Yashida's cheek to the burns, but Logan is completely cooked. Yet his skin heals, and his hair and his chops grow back exactly as they were before. This would be Hugh Jackman's sixth time playing the character, and he's more ripped than ever. Apparently, he asked Dwayne "The Rock" Johnson for advice on bulking up. Johnson told him that he could gain a pound a week over 6 months by eating 6,000 rice. So Jackman is insanely jacked in this movie, and with his pants somehow not hurrying up in this, our man is kind of like the Hulk here. Yashida tries to run, but Logan stops him, saying it's still not safe, which tells us that he must feel the radiation pummeling his flesh. Because again, he wouldn't know the details of the Manhattan Project. No one knew what radiation was at that point. It means he must feel it. Viscerally, kind of like the snakes going through his knuckle skin. It hurts every time. So Logan wakes up next to Jean Grey, and P. Jansen returning to play the spectral ghost version of Jean Grey who haunts Logan throughout the movie. The present day of this film is set after Logan killed Jean to stop Phoenix on Alcatraz in The Last Stand. James Mangold said that this film was originally going to be a prequel to the first first X-Men, but he didn't want the burden of handing the film off to a film that already exists.
Right.
But this is also a dream. Logan wakes up from this nightmare of Jean dying, and his claws are out, which we saw in the first X-Men when he stabbed Rogue after waking up from a nightmare, and in X-Men Origins when he scratched Silver Fox while waking up from a nightmare. Yeah, this guy needs to sleep in his own room. But the idea of Logan waking up in his bed disoriented, this is going to come back as a recurring visual in Days of Future Past as his consciousness is displacing through time. So I think we're seeing the seeds of that disorientation planted right here. Logan has isolated himself,
okay.
And there's empty booze bottles around him, including Stanley's whiskey, which is likely a nod to Stan Lee after we got a Stanley's pizza in the 2008 Incredible Hulk film. Logan also has a portable radio, the same one that was in his dream, and photos of Jean Grey that he keeps in a box. The song playing on the radio here is Requiem in D minor, K by Mozart. Mozart was also playing during Nightcrawler's White House attack scene in X2, and Mozart was playing in Eric Lyncher's Plastic Prison Cell in the same film. We see how Logan has marked some trees with his claws to find his way back to town, I assume, but James Mangold described this as a game between him and his grizzly bear that walks by, each of them marking trees with their claws and marking their territory in different ways and having this kind of mutual respect for each other. X-Men Origins kind of played with this theme of Logan being seen as either a man or an animal, and in a way, you could say he's more human when he's just living in this state of nature. In the X-Men comics, there is a Russian mutant named Mikhail Ursus, aka Ursa Major, who turns into a Russian brown bear, but this is a North American grizzly. Logan goes into town to get some batteries for his radio and notices these douchey camo bros who are gearing up for a hunting trip. You might always be filmed by Yukio, played by Rila Fukushima, who had been playing Katana on Arrow, but a different Yukio would be played by Shioli Kutsuna in Deadpool 2. In the comics,
Wait a minute, I just realized that. Just realized it. Why would they change this?
Mikhail Ursus, aka Ursa Major, who turns into a Russian brown bear, but this is a North American grizzly. Logan goes into town to get some batteries for his radio and notices these douchey camo bros who are gearing up for a hunting trip. You might always be filmed by Yukio, played by Rila Fukushima, who had been playing Katana on Arrow, but a different Yukio would be played by Shioli Kutsuna in Deadpool 2. In the comics, Yukio is not a mutant, she's just an extremely skilled ninja/ronin, and her power in this movie is the ability to distinction, right? She has this kind of fatalist mindset. In the comics, though, there are other mutants who can see the future, like Destinies and Precog, as is Negasonic Teenage Warhead, at least in the comics, although her power set was changed for the Deadpool film. Negasonic Teenage Warhead would often foresee disasters, which is pretty similar to the exact form of Yukio's ability here. Now, Yukio was originally meant to be a love interest for Storm in the comics, but that aspect of her relationship was scrapped because Marvel Comics editor-in-chief at the time, Jim Shooter, I guess, didn't want same-sex couples. But Logan later finds Grizzly shot by a poison arrow, foreshadowing the use of poison arrows later in this plot. Logan puts the creature out of its misery. This moment highlights a curse that Logan thinks he has, that everyone he gets close to will die. He has to kill the bear, just like how he had to kill Jean. And even here, in isolation, this curse finds him. He goes to hunt down the guys responsible. It's interesting to hear how much Hugh Jackman's voice has changed since the first film. He said that he would shout himself hoarse to get into character, and you can actually hear that in his vocal cords here.
Actually go outside in these things. The one was attacked by the grizzly.
But remember, in addition to this film coming out after Phase 1 of the MCU, Wolverine also came out after Christopher Nolan's Dark Knight trilogy, and it's kind of hard not to see everyone try to do what Christian Bale was doing as his take on Batman in those movies. Everyone has to talk like this now. They looked to the movie The Outlaw Josie Wales to figure out a more minimalistic Logan, less verbal, less quippy than the ultra-cool cigar-chopping anti-hero from the X-Men movies past, but he does have a cigar later in this movie. And here, by putting Logan in a bar fight, we are reminded of this badass intro in the 2000 film when it was just kind of a simpler take on the character. Yet here, it is even more violent. In fact, so violent, it kind of echoes back, hunting down those Nazis in the Argentina bar and making them pay for their crimes. But this is just like, yes.
That was so fucking dope, bro. That was so fucking dope. That's why First Class is such an underrated film, bro. That was so fucking dope. That fucking scene where, bruh, this nigga got a fucking knife in a fucking Nazi's hand. Stab that bitch on the table, bro. This nigga then picked this bitch up while holding his hand, pick the knife up, use his powers to throw that bitch into another nigga. That whole back then put it back in this dude's hand. Shit like that, bro. That shit like that. That's that shit.
Yes, here it is even more violent. In fact, so violent, it kind of echoes back, hunting down those Nazis in the Argentina bar and making them pay for their crimes. But this is just like,
oh man, I missed it. I gotta go back and see it. I'm sorry.
Yes, here it is even more violent. In fact, so violent, it kind of echoes back, hunting down those Nazis in the Argentina bar and making them pay for their crimes. But this is just like, nasty. When Logan spears the guy's hand with an arrow, the guy smashes him with a bottle. So Logan has definitely lost a step in his depression cloud. No way X1 or X2 Logan will let himself be touched. Yukio intervenes, explaining her sword's origin and its name translating to the separator. And before they can blink, this sword separates their schools and bottles and the shit from their booty holes, probably.
Like so.
I love how everything just falls perfectly timed with sword drawing. It's so great. So Yukio shares her file on Logan's production stills from X-Men: The Last Stand. Like this shot with Patrick Stewart Charles kind of looks like it's from the scene where they walked up to Jean Grey's house and then we see Halle Berry's Storm with the shorter haircut that she got specifically for The Last Stand. And you can see some text around the Storm photo. I mentioned someone named Klein, Experiment, and then CIA's to something. Not sure history with the CIA that kind of got defined in X-Men First Class. But beneath the photo, the text reads, "Program to influence and control human behavior through drugs such as 90Y and mescaline and other biological something," which could refer to Experiment Striker put use through Weapons Plus, or some other creepy CIA plot to like control population. Also,
Do you think it's true that you've got to forget something else to remember that Uber Eats has those?
No, that's absurd. Hey, remember when you used to be a, what was it, Pepper Lady? Pepper Lady?
Wasn't it Cinnamon Sisters?
Hazel Babes.
Saffron Squad?
like coincidental, like 23 was written on the corner of this page, which could be included foreshadowing X-23, Bora, and the follow-up film, at least follow-up films, his solo Wolverine series, since Logan, as X-23 would be one of Wolverine's clones. So Logan boards Yukio's private jet, and we get another glimpse of his flight anxiety, which we saw in X-Men Origins. He asks the future reading Yukio if he dies on this plane, and she says, no, not on this plane. And I don't know if to like read into that. I'm pretty sure she's just messing with him here, saying like, no, not this plane, but you should still have flight anxiety. But when I first saw this, I was like, one day we'll be able to sound. Anyway, to Tokyo! On the X-Men Origins DVD, there's actually an alternate post-credit scene in that movie that showed Logan drinking in Japan and tells the bartender that he's, quote, drinking to remember. That scene was supposed to lead into this film, but it's never really made clear in this movie how Logan still has memories of Yashida or some of the other stuff that comes up. Since at this point, Stryker's adamantium bullet from X-Men Origins should have still, like, wiped out a lot of his memory, but I think it kind of speaks to the resiliency of Loki's regenerative memory, or perhaps after the events of X1, X2, and X3, Logan's broken memories just finally begun to heal. We learned that Yashida helps rebuild the country of Japan after World War II, and now he leads a key technology company. It's just an example of how Logan's actions have some positive consequences that he doesn't always realize. Kind of like Boris Gump. At Yashida's compound, security team's metal detector wands go crazy on Logan, reminding us of the metal detector on Liberty Island in X1. Yashida's son, Shinjin, is played by Hiroyuki Sanada, one of the best actors. He's been in stuff like Lost,
His son
Scorpion,
would have been a perfect villain
Westworld,
by
and
himself.
yes, he was even briefly in Avengers Endgame as one of the guys Hawkeye kills during the Blade. Criminal underuse of how talented this guy is as a fighter. In the comics, Shinjin is a master fighter. He once poisoned Wolverine, and his knowledge of the human body let him attack Wolverine's nerve endings, which threatened to kill him. Logan asks Yukio what happened to her badass and boots look, and she responds,
Nothing stays traditional. One eye on the past, and the other on the future.
we see this exemplified in this room. It's a very traditional Japanese building, but all of the medical equipment is state-of-the-art high-tech, and it foreshadows exactly what Yashida is doing, building a future high-tech adamantium supersuit that is molded to look like a throwback to Japanese history. Yashida's granddaughter, Mariko,
Where did he get the
is played by
adamantium from,
Taro,
though?
a Japanese actress and model who is also in Westworld and Batman v Superman. Logan gets a scrub down and a shave, and he meets Yashida. Logan is the only one not wearing a mask in the scene. It's probably because his healing ability makes him impervious to getting sick, and therefore he can't be a germ carrier. At least I'm sure that's what he said when he was indoors during COVID. Now, Yashida's pin bed is awesome. It's inspired by a pin impression device that Mangold would see in children's museums. I can't imagine this would be very comfortable, even if his weight was equally distributed across these rods, but it could have a kind of acupuncture effect. Like, it could be designed to adapt to Yashida's frail body, sensing pain as it shifts throughout the body, just kind of responding in real time. Whatever, it looks awesome. The doctor is Dr. Green, aka Viper. Viper also goes by Madam Hydra in the comics and started as a Captain America villain and member of Hydra. She later came in conflict with the X-Men when she tried to poison Mariko. At one point, she also blackmailed Wolverine into marrying her. Comics are crazy. This role was initially...
What?
At one point, she also blackmailed Wolverine into marrying her. Comics are crazy. This role was initially offered to Jessica Biel, but they couldn't reach a deal, so she's played this movie by Svetlana Kochenkova. notice that Logan clocks the little robot parasites in the jar that will later go in his body, so Chekhov's robot parasites. This painting on the wall in the room shows a samurai battle. It foreshadows the conflict of the Yakuza throughout this film. It could be depicting the war
Yakuza, that's the thing.
from 1467 to 1650, when various states were all vying for power. Many famous samurai and ninja come from this time period. The whole idea of warrior clans fighting for power definitely parallels the plot of this film. Yashida says the painting is from the village of his birth and depicts the bravery and skill of the Black Clan. In the comics, this is a ninja clan that similarly were sworn to serve Shinjin, and we'll see the Black Clan coming back later in this film. In the town, Yashida offers to make Logan mortal, saying that there is a way he can transfer his ability to heal over.
See, like, bruh, who thinks of that? Who thinks of that? Just randomly. Just randomly. Like, he ain't try to build it up. None of that shit. He ain't tell no story. He was just talking about the shit that was on the wall. Bro, let me make sure. Yeah. No build up. No build up to it. At least build up to the offer. This nigga just off the back offer to take his fucking life. Like, come on, bro. Come on, bro. Make it make sense. Make it make sense.
Yashida offers to make Logan mortal, saying that there is a way he can transfer his ability to heal over to him. It's such an interesting offer that Logan, of course, turns down. It's crazy, but I just wonder if Yashida thinks that Logan made Logan mortal, saying that there is a way he can transfer his ability to heal over to him. It's such an interesting offer that Logan, of course, turns down. It's crazy, but I just wonder if Yashida thinks that Logan might have accepted that initial offer. Like, you must imagine that Logan has been walking this earth for the past 80 years, feeling this kind of weight, this dread, the pain of immortality. And we as an audience wonder, hey, is this something that might actually be good for Logan? It's a question that will later get answered in 2017's film Logan. Thank you to BetterHelp for sponsoring
That don't make no
this video.
sense. That don't make no sense.
Stress management, being more
That don't make no
optimistic,
sense. I understand this nigga is hurting.
that on your own can be difficult. Connecting with a licensed therapist through BetterHelp
But
can
bruh.
help. BetterHelp makes starting therapy easier
But
and
bruh.
less intimidating for a lot of people. The right therapist
Nobody
will help
actually
you in
wants
your
to
area.
die.
Some people struggle with the face-to-face
Nobody
interaction
wants to
therapy. With
actually
BetterHelp,
die.
you can have your therapy sessions as
Cause like I
close
can
as
understand the
possible.
pain
Even
of
if it's a message,
immortality. You just going through all this shit and you just feel like everywhere you go is death. But bro, that's what made that line in Logan so powerful. Nigga was on the fucking tree. So this is what it feel like. Like, bro. I'm glad they kind of made him reach that moment, but he was still poisoned though. I can't think about it too much, bro.
There are not subtitles. The Japanese is being spoken, so the audience at this point knows exactly as much as he does. As Logan sleeps, the steam of the tea has this greenish color to it. Of course, foreshadowing by Bruce Poison. Same green steam escapes his mouth after she kisses him. After Logan sees her as Jean in the stream, and we're reminded of when Mystique pretended to be Jean Grey in the tent next to. In Uncanny X-Men 172, which this is partially based on, Viper did attempt to poison Wolverine with tea, but he discovered the ruse in time. James Mangold would come back to this idea of poisoning weakening Wolverine throughout the Logan film. In that movie, Logan was dying from adamantium poisoning. Yukio reports to Logan that Yashida is dead, but she did not foresee it.
Adamantium poisoning? How the fuck you're dying from yourself? You're supposed to be a regenerative mutant, like.
Logan film, that movie, Logan was dying from adamantium poisoning. Yukio reports to Logan that Yashida is dead, but she did not foresee it. I wonder why. At Yashida's funeral, the man on the roof keeping an eye out is Kenichiro Harada.
Hold on, what?
Yukio reports to Logan that Yashida is dead, but she did not foresee it. I wonder why. At Yashida's funeral, the man on the roof keeping an eye out is Kenichiro Harada, who in the comics was the Silver Samurai and illegitimate son of Shinjin. Here he was Yashida's bodyguard and now pledges himself to protect Mariko. Mariko's scummy fiance is Naburo Mori, the Minister of Justice. Her father had arranged this union. This character is based on Naburo Hideki in the comics. And Hideki was a criminal associate of Shinjin, who was Mariko's fiance. And similarly in the comics, Mariko felt duty bound to marry him, even though he beat her. Hideki was eventually killed by Yukio after he had taken Mariko hostage in Wolverine #4. before. Yukio points out the decorative silver samurai armor that flanks the casket. She says it will watch over her father forever, of course foreshadowing the other real silver samurai armor that awaits us in the final act, protecting Yashida in a more literal way. Logan notices the arm tattoos of these monks and realizes something is up. He takes a shotgun blast straight to the chest, whereas we've seen him barely bat an eye when this kind of thing happens to him before. Now, Viper's toxin is taking a toll. The Yakuza try to kidnap Mariko, and Logan pursues, while Harada provides some cover with some impressive archery skills. Viper is just filming Logan with her phone, and then we remember...
And see, quick shit. I'm still thinking about the adamantium poison shit, bro. Cause I'm thinking that this nigga was dying from Viper. Real life. That's what I thought, because it's obvious that the fucking bullet didn't do shit. I thought it was Viper. Whatever, man.
This is like one of the first Marvel films where they actually use smartphones. But when Viper gets on a gunpoint, her powers come out. She licks him with a serpent tongue, causing chemicals to burn his flesh, and it just goes right back to filming. Now, in Logan's opening scene, we will see more of Logan in a weakened state, but already here, you can tell this is the version of Wolverine that James Mangold is most interested to explore. When Logan actually bleeds and feels the impact of the attacks and has to rely on others to help him, that is a version of Logan that we connect with. Like when he defied gravity to fastball special himself into a helicopter and then slow walk away from that explosion, it just felt artificial. Now, they had to shoot a lot of split chase guerrilla style. Mangold explained that there wasn't much of a Japanese film commission to help filmmakers shut down streets and locations for productions, so Mangold and his crew just kind of drove around Tokyo in a van, saw places that looked good, and just had the actors run out as they were being chased. Many of the Tokyo pedestrians seen in this sequence are just regular folks. But that couldn't have been the case with these gamblers in the casino, because guns fire in this place, and Logan stabs a Yakuza through the door, and most of them never look up from their slot machine. So presumably the gunfire shots will just be added in post-production, so who knows? These might have been actual gamblers who just didn't care that they were shooting the scene. Logan follows Mariko on the bullet train, and Mangold gives us this smart moment of Logan nursing his bloody wounds in the bathroom. It's super bloody, and it makes his fight with the Yakuza after this even more gripping, because we know what this guy is feeling. This high-speed fight on the sides and on the roof of the bullet train completely rocks. I love the detail that Logan knows to dodge the coming overhangs by watching the other guy's reaction and responding to that reaction, but then later, when their positions are reversed, Logan uses this same trick on the guy by jumping prematurely and causing that guy to get killed. And watching Spider-Man Across the Spider-Verse 10 years after this, the pursuit with Miguel O'Hara and Miles Morales atop that train with Miguel's claws going into that metal definitely echoes the imagery of this scene. Logan and Marco check into a love hotel, into the missions Mars room. But it's another lady in deep space that Logan is hallucinating, the ghost of Jean, and she tells him,
Just let it go. It's not going to die. Come to me.
so now they have Funky Jansen wearing a nightgown, and it kind of looks like her hair is somewhat affected by the rain. Hey, wait a minute, didn't Forrest Gump see ghosts of Jenny and share moments with her in the rain? I'm sorry, folks.
Oh, God.
I swear I've done Forrest Gump references. But Hugh Jackman said that the major theme of this movie is Logan being surrounded by death, but he himself being unable to die. Jackman said, quote, he realizes everyone he loves dies, and his whole life is full of pain, so it's better that he just escapes. He can't die, really. He just wants to get away from everything. Jean in this movie is obviously just a ghost in Logan's mind.
And them niggas said it themselves. So what was the point of this villain's motive? Oh my God.
I like to think of her as the cosmic Phoenix Force that might be speaking to Logan from some external cosmic realm. Because who's to say where our ghosts come from within or from without? This movie doesn't have the answers, none of us have the answers. So Logan gets shot at and thrown over the balcony and then tased by the Yakuza, and for a brief moment, the silver samurai flashes across the screen. He's seeing his future. Mariko saves him, the mission to Mars, broom key wedged into this grunt's back, and she flings a knife at the others, a move that she will call back at the end of the movie. Logan wakes up in the light above him as he's being worked on by a veterinarian, which is similar to how we first met Jean Grey when he was lying on a medical table at the mansion, and she was examining him under bright lights. Now, Wolverine is somewhat an animal, so it's appropriate that a veterinarian would be the one to operate on him. Meanwhile, Viper meets with Harada in this alley where this random guy is wearing a hat with what looks like the Sam Raimi era Spider-Man logo. I don't think it's an overt reference to Spider-Man. They didn't just have to shoot this stuff in random places. And this would not be the first time this happened. Like, one of the first shots in the film, when Joker's standing on the street corner waiting to be picked up, there is a poster for Spider-Man Spider-Man 3 in the background of that movie.
Oh,
Mariko
wow.
brings Logan back to
Oh,
her family
wow.
outside of Nagasaki. She reveals that
Crazy.
her grandfather Shinjin left everything to her in his will. In the comics, Mariko did become head of the Yashida clan following Shinjin's death. As their leader, she made the company more legitimate, but she still eventually went to hell because of her actions during that time. Well,
Crazy.
if Shinjin faked his death, did he really leave everything in his will to his granddaughter? My theory is no. That was just a lie he told her in order to cover up his death. And had he bequeathed his business empire directly to his son, he would have had a stronger right hold to his power. We get a little
Type
more
shit,
Logan
yeah.
himself shaving, and such a refreshing change of pace from the bathroom mirror scene in X-Men Origins just reminds us that we're dealing with a real hero who's unnerved by the sight of his own blood. Logan revisits the exact site of the well that he was once in, running his finger along the manhole cover, reminding him of the lid that he used to shield Yashida. He looks up to see a 737 jet, reminding him of the B-29s that delivered the bomb. In a flashback with Yashida, Yashida offers a sword with 6 kanji characters engraved on it. These actually translate to never died, never aged, never destroyed. Something that applies to Wolverine, and something that Yashida wants more than anything else. Actually, in the 2017 Logan film, we see that Logan kept this sword. Now, I know the 2017 Logan film is kind of like set in an altered timeline. We don't really know, but he still has the sword. Logan and Mariko hook up. Now, in 2013, all Marvel superhero movies begin to gravitate in the orbit of the MCU, which, despite gratuitous male nudity, have actually been pretty chaste when it comes to actual sex. After Tony Stark hooked up with Christine Everhart and Iron Man, it wouldn't be until the Eternals film and then She-Hulk.
Literally, that's why it Bro, that's why, bro. I still remember when I went to go see Eternals. Now, y'all know me. I go see that bitch before that bitch come out. Thursday, not Friday. Thursday night. Bro. Bro. I'm watching Eternals. Boom. I'm enjoying it because it's different, you know? I'm enjoying it. But, bro, they had fucking Cersei's and Icarus fucking on a fucking beach or a mountain or some shit. And I'm like, oh my God, what the fuck? I said, oh wow. I think that's what I really said. I said, oh wow, like, bruh. I'm gonna just leave it down there. But bruh, I was like, oh wow, bro, cause we haven't seen that shit since Iron Man, and like you get used to the shit that happens in certain movies, so we're not expecting to see no fucking sex scene. I don't care if they're not showing cheeks or none of that shit, bro. We got a fucking sex scene in a Marvel movie, and it wasn't even on the level of fucking Iron Man 1. Real life. Nah, you can see the thrusting, you can see her reacting. I'm like, bro, oh wow. Get it together.
Timeline, we don't really know, but he still has a sword. Logan and Mariko hook up. Now, in 2013, all Marvel superhero movies begin to gravitate in the orbit of the MCU, which, despite gratuitous male nudity, have actually been pretty chaste when it comes to actual sex. After Tony Stark hooked up with Christine Everhart and Iron Man, it wouldn't be until the Eternals film and then She-Hulk where characters would actually have sex. So it's kind of nice just to see it here. Logan's dream of Jean Grey had given way to a nightmare of the Silver Samurai, which fuels my theory that these might not just be dreams, they might be cosmic premonitions of the Phoenix Force. Mariko tells him how her grandfather would tell her stories of the Kuzuri when she would have nightmares, saying that Kuzuri, which is Japanese for Wolverine, would protect her. This is really similar to Kayla Silverfox telling Logan the myth of the Wolverine and the moon in X-Men Origins. So you gotta wonder, is it just the case that in every country, in every culture, there are women who Wolverine and have their own folk tales about Wolverine so they can feel like, yeah, that could be me. Logan reunites with Yukio, who had a vision of Logan's death.
You see on your back, there's blood everywhere. You're holding your own heart in your hand. It's not bleeding.
Now, she's probably envisioning the moment where he reaches his hand in his chest and kind of holds his heart in his hand. It is worth noting that when Logan does eventually die in the 2017 film, it is after he gets impaled on a tree stump and lying on his back. And what is he holding in his hand? The hand of Laura, the daughter figure who we learned to love, and we can see Laura as his heart. Logan confronts Naguro with his girls. He says that Yashida spent the company's fortunes on doctors and stockpiles of adamantium to prolong his life, and that his son, Mariko's father, Shinjin, lied to stockholders and became enraged when Yashida left the company to Mariko, so Shinjin hired him to get Mariko out of the way, and Logan responds by defenestrating him.
I
didn't.
This kind of feels like an homage to the scene in Diamonds Are Forever.
Exceptionally fine shot.
I didn't know it was a pool down there.
Mariko is taken to her father. Shinjin talks about how he studied genetics and how certain genes skip generations. He's of course referring to his bitterness over his father's empire bypassing him to his daughter. You gotta think, this academic pursuit was probably encouraged by Ichiro to better understand humankind, which that was his obsession.
Perfect conflict.
Controlled by Harada and the Viper take Mariko. Viper licks the pen and stabs Shinjin in the neck. Logan and Yukio arrive to find the ransom notes because really they just want Logan to show up. Logan sees the empty jars that previously contained the robotic parasites and he's like, whoa, maybe that's what's in me. He scans himself on the pin bed to find one of these latched to his heart, and he decides, you know what? I'm ripping this thing out. I'm so curious how this pin bed scanner works because they do not show Logan's hand going over his chest when it is outside his body, but just like positioned over his chest. But it does show his hand as it's inside of his chest. So I suppose it's not that overhanging part that scans the body from overhead. It's really the pins underneath them that just kind of like vibrate through the body through a form of echolocation, and it only shows stuff that is like inside of the body that's positioned on these pins. We see that Shinjin survived Viper's poison pin and dons new armor as he attacks Yukio and Logan. Logan pries out the robot, and yeah, this thing totally looks like one of the trackers that the ancients put in Neo's belly in the Matrix, and his healing ability is restored. So Logan's wounds heal up, and he extends his claws at the last second to save Yukio from Shinjin's stab. He throws Shinjin and marches toward him, and Hugh Jackman is so yoked here. You can see one of his pecs twitches. Jesus. Shinjin hits Logan with the classic samurai swipe across the midriff, tosses on the other side of them. We see this move a lot in movies, and I always love it. There's a similar move in Akira Kurosawa's Seven Samurai. In Kill Bill, the bride similarly lunged across over an Ishii and passes on the other side of her, but in that case, obviously, the cut was across the front. And Obi-Wan in Maul's final duel in Rebels had a similar slow, fast, slow draw. Now, Shinjin is definitely the better fighter in this duel. He's just unfortunately going up against a guy who cannot die. But no excuse for how easy it was for Hawkeye to kill this guy in India.
Right.
Never forget it. Now, before Logan goes after Mariko, we get a brief shot of the Silver Samurai blueprints. Again, this movie came out after Iron Man had skyrocketed up to the tier of Wolverine and Spider-Man of Marvel movie A-listers. So yeah, we definitely just have to look at these super suit designs and this movie's whole final act of the Silver Samurai armor to feel inspired by something from the world of Tony Stark and his enemies. Like, doesn't the Silver Samurai armor in this movie feel like Ironmonger in the first Iron Man? I think ultimately
Not really.
it's better and more meaningful than Ironmonger, but it's also just like, oh, clearly we are in a post-MCU world at this point. Back to his old self, Wolverine charges up via motorcycle toward the company facility on the mountainside of Yashida's birthplace. Logan.
Didn't he actually cut one of his claws off though? Like, or at least half them bitches? If he so, did that shit grow back? Like, I don't know. I don't know.
Stop making no money. Taco Bell was like the one place where you could actually.
Awesome.
Runs into Harada and the Black Clan in this town.
Go yourself, pretty boy.
Ah, pretty boy. Logan would often call Cyclops pretty boy, especially in the animated series.
Anytime, pretty boy.
Harada poisons his arrows at Viper's direction, just like those asshole hunters did at the beginning, and Logan being halted by these archers with the cables pulling him back is reference to the 1957 Japanese Macbeth adaptation, Throne of Blood. As he wakes up, he hears the voices of Jean, Mariko, and Kayla Silverfox, another woman he thought he failed to save, echoing through his mind. Viper now wears this all-green outfit that's very reminiscent of her comics look. She explains that the completed Silver Samurai is made fully out of adamantium. And fun thing to note about this armor, it only has 3 fingers on each hand, but we learn later that this is actually designed to just be drills to absorb Wolverine's healing powers through the stumps of his claws. In the comics, there are actually 2 versions of the Silver Samurai figure. The comics version of Kenichi Harada, who's a skilled samurai with a tachyon blade, as well as his son, Shinjin Harada, who possessed a technologically advanced suit of armor. This movie combines both versions of the Silver Samurai character and really redefines the suit as a life support system to prolong Yashida's life, which is really kind of like a grotesque reflection of his obsession with Wolverine's adamantium and the history of his country. And again, makes adamantium kind of like this cursed substance that Wolverine just cannot escape in his life. Harada knocks out Viper with an arrow, but the toxin only affects her skin layers, so she's able to peel it off like a snake, including her hair. Ugh, Logan fights the Silver Samurai, who chops off the 3 claws on his right hand. Logan wields a smoldering adamantium sword and uses it to lob off the armored head, saying, "Hey, bub." Meanwhile, Harada dies, and Yukio kills Viper, and Silver Samurai cuts off the other 3 claws on Wolverine's other hand. drills into the stumps, and raises Logan to his eye level to reveal Yashida's still alive inside the suit. It's a life support system. He faked his death, and that is why Yukio couldn't foresee it, as he didn't actually die. Now, you could say there is some justice in his plot to take an Allied soldier's immortality after the Americans dropped 2 atomic bombs that irradiated his Japanese soil, which led to him heroically rebuilding his country and desperately not wanting to see it fall to ruin after his death. But to take this out on Logan,
Yes!
he ain't American, bub. He's Canadian. He already prolonged your life by saving it twice. So Logan is
Twice!
Yashida reverts to his younger self. Notice the radiation scar on his cheek from the slit in that shield from the Nagasaki blast remains there on his face. Tragically, that's one scar that can never reverse. Ariko saves the day, flinging one of Wolverine's severed adamantium claws into a grandfather, a move that we actually saw her do from that Love Hotel balcony. And Logan goes in with his OG bone claws to finish him off.
You asked me to come say goodbye. Sayonara.
I personally kind of see this as a reference to RoboCop, which also featured a man trying to kill a guy who's in a giant metal suit.
Sayonara, RoboCop.
Logan sees Jean one last time and comes to terms with what he did and the fact that he wants to live. He tells her goodbye. He also says goodbye to Mariko in real life as he flies off with Yukio somewhere. Now, the mid-credit scene is set 2 years after this. In the airport, Logan sees a commercial for Trask Industries.
Keep them healthy, keep them safe. Trask Industries.
That is, of course, Bolivar Trask, creator of the Sentinels, and Days of Future Past. Peter Dinklage will play Bolivar Trask, who gets assassinated in 1973 by Mystique, which leads to her DNA being used to create the deadliest generation of Sentinels decades later. In this airport, Logan opts for the pat-down, going through the metal detector, but then all the metal starts shaking, and we hear a familiar voice. Go ahead, sir.
All right.
You could spot Magneto's familiar hat right behind Logan a second before this. Logan goes to stab him, but is stopped. I guess this means Magneto's powers are fully back after he got injected with a cure in the last stand. We did see him getting powers back a little bit at the end of that film with the chessboard. Magneto comes with a warning.
Our dark forces, Wolverine. I want your help.
Logan very logically asks why you should trust him, and then everyone freezes. And you know what that means? It's a twofer!
It's a twofer.
You're not the only one with gifts.
I know. What? The last time we saw Charles, his body had been destroyed by Jean, but he transferred his consciousness to a comatose man under the care of Moira McTaggart. It's not clear how Charles got his old body back. In the comics, his body was destroyed once, and his consciousness was transferred into a clone body with full use of his legs again. But there's no reason to believe Moira had like a Patrick Stewart clone lying around.
Right.
This does not make sense. I think the filmmakers didn't really know what they were doing. The studio didn't know what they were doing. We all went into Days of Future Past expecting an answer to this, and then we ended up just kind of letting it go after the events of Days of Future Past and retcon the Last Stand timeline anyway. Wolverine ends this movie with his bone claws, so how does he get his adamantium claws back at the beginning of the Days of Future Past? Bryan Singer reportedly waved the question away when he's asked about it, saying that Wolverine now knows a guy who can manipulate metal, so I guess we're meant to assume that Magneto grafted an adamantium back onto Wolverine's bone claws. But the grim reality is, this apparently stable present day that this movie is set within will very quickly collapse into a Terminator-style post-apocalyptic future in a matter of years. So the efforts that Wolverine will put in with Charles and Eric are going to lead to some dark days ahead. But I think it's interesting that Yukio in this movie suggests a darkness fell over her country. And since she can only see the future through a keyhole, can only see ways people are going to die, I think she's really referring to a darkness that will fall upon the entire planet from the Sentinels. Now, there is an alternate ending in the extended version that shows Yukio giving Wolverine his comic-accurate costume.
What's this?
Open it.
This is a yellow and brown suit created by John Byrne that first appeared in Uncanny X-Men 139. This is not the costume that Wolverine is seen wearing in Deadpool 3. That one is based on the Astonishing X-Men comics and it's yellow and blue. But speaking of Deadpool 3, onto the Danger Room, where we're going to discuss some possible Deadpool 3 spoilers. If you don't want to know, feel free to stop watching the video now. Okay, we could not confirm the source of this. It looked like it was like a Japanese website, but Rila Fukushima's version of Yukio from this movie is speculated to return in Deadpool 3. But that's going to be really weird because Shioli Kutsuna's Yukio from Deadpool 2 is most certainly going to return along with the rest of the Deadpool 2 cast. So I don't really know.
Variants?
And since Charles' return after the events of X-Men The Last Stand remains perhaps my opinion the most confusing plot hole in the X-Men film franchise, I feel like Wade and Logan have to reference it in some way. Okay, next we're going to break down 2014 X-Men Days of Future Past. The best way to support your rock stars is to grab one of these multiverse tour shirts inspired by Deadpool and T-Swift. If you live in the LA area, please come hang out with us on February 15th. It's going to be a lot of fun. Subscribe to all 3 channels of the New Rockstars Network. Big thanks to Gina Ippolito for her help writing the script. I'm Eric Boss. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you next time. Bye.
All right. What time it is? Hello. bit because we knock off. You know what's about to go down. You know what's about to go down. Ba-da-dum, ba-da-dum, ba-da-dum. Hey!
Yes, the legendary Long Range. He saved us all. By the time we returned to our homes, he was gone. We could only listen in awe to those who claimed to see him. And we had no way to thank him. That is, until he showed up here in court today.
So, he's here then?
No! We set him free.
What? Your Honor, do you know where he went?
Sorry, son, I don't. But I do know this. Wherever
Oh,
he may
shit.
go across this great country of ours, from old man skeletons falling all the way to the rare Rouge mountains, to grass will always be. Sure.
Maybe he left some clues. I tried.
No, wait. The kid's got a point. Maybe there are some clues. His behavior has been followed. What about before he left? Did anyone notice him acting strange?
Well, actually, he was acting weird at the reunion.
How so?
He seemed really tense and uncomfortable, and he was smiling really hard like this. And he was getting really confused about stuff, like he put potato salad in someone's lemonade. Potato!
Was there anything that might have been triggering this strange behavior? Anything someone was doing or saying?
I don't think so. I was just asking about his creator. I mean, who is his creator anyway?
That bitch said Al Capone.
Did you know that in all the years Wilt has been at the house, Wilt's creator hasn't even once come to the reunion? Never? Nope. Nobody even knows who he or she is.
Well, we are going to find out.
We are?
Yes, because that is who Wilt is going to see.
Yes.
We need only to figure out who his creator is and where he or she might be, and that is where we will find Wilt.
But how?
Simple. By recording the perpetrators, suspect, Wilt's behavior, and analyzing his psychological and physical characteristics, we can predict or assess the qualities of whoever it was that created him.
Oh, Nina, I don't even know it's just that, but it turns out it's smart.
Oh, I get it. By looking at what kind of friend Wilt is, we can figure out what kind of kid created him.
That's right. It's called profiling. Now let's get down to business. What do we know about Wilt?
Oh, I know. He has red.
He looks like the Baton crime.
Hit him with the truth. Hit him with the truth.
Ooh, you're right. He does look like she's inside.
He has weird old fortune cookie fingers.
So all we have to do is find a really tall evil mastermind with a bad sunburn, suction cup fingers, and is a practicing nudist.
You're going about it the wrong way. Think of it from a psychological standpoint. What sort of a child needed a friend like Wilt?
A kid with really high shelves?
No. Well, take me and Eduardo, for example. I was not a big, hairy purple man. I was a little girl who grew up in a dangerous neighborhood.
Hey!
And I was so frightened all the time, I needed someone to scare all the bad guys away. But I also needed someone who would be nice to my baby brother. And someone to play with. But I had another reason I needed to create Eduardo that I didn't even know about.
Hey, he's not a monster. He's just a big sissy.
I needed someone to teach me to be brave. So, we need to figure out what kind of child needed an imaginary friend like Will, and what kind of a person that child grew up to be.
And the kitchen pit, we said they like to stir fry. And the kitchen pit, we said they like to stir fry. And the kitchen Oh, here, dumb as hell.
Time to settle the score.
Wilt? Oh my gosh, Wilt, is that you?
Stats? Stats!
Wilt, it's been so long. So tell me what brings you back to the hood?
I've come to see Larry.
Oh, Larry! Well. It isn't Mr. Sore Loser.
Mate, sorry, but I had some things to take care of.
Been 30 years since I whooped your behind. Come back for more?
No thanks. You know what I'm here for, Foul Larry, if that's okay.
A rematch, huh? Another game of 2-on-2? Oh, wait, that's right. Your little creator has gone away and left you all alone. What do you think you're gonna do? You think if you beat me, he'll forgive you? He'll take you back? Well, forget it. He don't want you no more. And you know why? Because you let him down. Because you're a loser.
Why don't you prove it? Is that okay?
Scared? Shorty?
Ready when you are. to get me. I lost. I let you down.
Let me down. You saved me.
I didn't even know until Stats told me. Your arm and your eye, it was all my fault. I looked everywhere for you, but you disappeared. I hadn't been so obsessed about that game, you never would have gotten hurt, and I never would have lost you. Losing you taught me something. Winning isn't everything. Your friends, the people you love, that's the most important. That's worth sacrificing yourself for. I created you to make me a better ball player. And instead, you made me a better person.
It is.
I can't thank you enough. There's no need. You're a hero. I'm sorry. I'm not. You're the best friend I've ever had. You've got to quit saying you're sorry. It's not okay. Okay? Hey! Sorry. Was that okay?
I just love having you.
So, would you like to stay in the Hampton estate or my mansion in Malibu? You want to visit? Nah. Now that we're together again, you'll be living with me. I want you to live in a lap of luxury with everything your heart desires. It's what you deserve. What is it? Don't say it. I know. You could never leave your friends in Boston. I understand. Well, no. I mean, I love all my friends more than anything, but it's just that I just know that out there somewhere, there's a little kid who needs me. I don't know who he or she is yet, but I know that that kid's best chance of finding me is if I wait at Foster's, no? Is that okay?
Aw, I really wanted you to see my mansion.
I can come visit your mansion whenever you want. I would love to.
Whenever I want.
Of course, anything. There.
Stop, you're embarrassing me.
Yes, I know. Jeez, it's just like my mother.
Can I help carry anything?
Oh, Mac! I'm going to miss you! I can't believe I won't see you again for another 5 whole years!
Ooh, I'm not leaving. You are so
Honey, it's okay. They know you're not a jerk anymore.
But what if no little kid wants me?
Are you kidding? A big, strong, tough guy like you? He'll be adopted in a week.
See? Handle ain't so bad.
What if no little kid wants us?
So what's the score now? 80 to 472. Don't worry, you'll catch up. Hey. Sorry. Sorry. No fair. God, sorry. Sorry, what makes you so tall? Sorry. 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 No fair.
Definitely ain't watching no Steven Universe.
Steven,
Got it. Is it morning already?
it's midnight. Happy birthday, Steven.
Oh man, are you finally gonna tell me that you're a fusion of the gems Ruby and Sapphire like you promised?
You already know about all that, Steven.
It's true.
But what you don't know is how Ruby and Sapphire is in it.
OMG! I don't!
The Earth, 5,750 years ago. It was a promising site of a new gem colony, but progress was being thwarted by a small, persistent group of rebels. A team of diplomatic gems was sent from homeworld to investigate. Among those gems was Sapphire, a rare aristocratic
I
home.
said no.
We're done.
What about these?
Looks right.
Quick! The quicker picker-upper. Bouncy absorbs spills like a sponge, and is 2 times more absorbent, so you can use less. Bouncy, the quicker picker-upper.
Stay 24/7 shower fresh with Old Spice Night Panther Body Wash.
Welcome back to New Rockstars. I'm Eric Fox, and this is a breakdown of 2014's X-Men Days of Future Past. This is the 7th installment of our X-Men 6 rewatch. As we go back
God is grace, God is good. Let us thank you for this food. Bow our heads and be fed. Thank God for daily bread, man. I just got some TGI Friday buffalo nuggets. I ain't gonna say wings or whatever. Buffalo nuggets and 3 breakfast sausage patties. So yeah.
Welcome back to New Rockstars. I'm Eric Fox, and this is a breakdown of 2014's X-Men Days of Future Past. This is the 7th installment of our X-Men 6 rewatch. As we go back through all 13 of Fox X-Men and Deadpool films ahead of Wolverine's Mutant Homecoming in Deadpool and Wolverine in the Marvel Cinematic Universe. At this point, the X-Men franchise had split into a Matthew Vaughn reboot era and the Wolverine spin-off era. And this movie was designed to tie both eras together and really restore the X-Men franchise. And it resulted in one of the best installments with ingenious time travel mechanics and memorable moments that Marvel Studios would even circle back to. So let's break down Days of Future Past scene by scene for all the Easter eggs, details never spotted, the implications of the crazy time travel mechanics, and stuff that could come back in Deadpool and Wolverine. Now, Fox actually released 2 versions of this movie, the regular theatrical cut and an alternate version dubbed the Rogue cut with an additional 17 minutes of footage, mostly centering around Anna Paquin's Rogue, including a rescue mission with Charles and Bobby and Magneto from the X-Mansion that's been turned into a Department of Defense facility, and it would have been Rogue instead of Kitty Pryde, reunited with Logan in the final act. We're going to talk about both versions of this movie in this breakdown. In the opening fanfare, we get the return of the lingering X in the Fox logo as it fades to black, something that they started to do away with after the original 3 films, but also there's a bit of the X-Men musical score playing at the end of the normal Fox music if you listen closely. So we open on post-apocalyptic New York City. Like the first 2 films, Patrick Stewart narrating Charles Xavier, but it's scary.
A dark, desolate world.
Notice how Central Park has been turned into a mutant internment camp with mutants marching in with M's branded on their faces. In a way, this parallels the openings to X-Men 2000 and X-Men First Class. Another generation, another extermination of an oppressed group. Magneto was right. The worst of humanity will always bear out. And using M's this way reminds us of House of M comics, where Scarlet Witch creates a reality where Magneto rules.
It don't remind you of Bishop?
Superpowered people are the dominant class. In Multiverse of Madness, in the 838 universe, New York Central Park will be home to the Baxter Foundation. So maybe that universe, Charles chose this park for his refuge to correct the horrible way it was used in this universe. So the film Days of Future Past, which we can acknowledge is a completely nonsensical and ridiculous but awesome title, is based on number 141 and 142 of Uncanny X-Men, which was the original X-Men run written by Chris Claremont, who might be the all-time best writer of X-Men comics. He also did the Dark Phoenix saga. He has a cameo later in this movie. This comic also opened in the future in New York City, although that mentioned time travel from the year 2013. The opening of this film is set in 2023. We get that number from Charles' speech later where he says, like, it was 1973 and then 50 years since is how they perfected such old technology. So, we get 2023 from that. But in the comics, there was only 4 surviving X-Men at this point. Kitty Pryde, Wolverine, Storm, and Colossus. The Days of Future Past comics were also adapted to the animated series, and there are some similarities to what we're seeing here, like mutants being marched through and handed over to Sentinels. The hellscape that we are now seeing is very similar to the post-apocalyptic landscape that opens the Terminator films, down to the charred bones of torched mutants. Terminator director James Cameron was actually consulted for this movie to discuss time travel and string theory and multiverse as it's displayed in fiction. Among these detained mutants, there is an older Ink with a tattoo on his face. He actually shows up later in 1973 as a teenager. There's also an older Sabretooth, an older Quicksilver in the comics and the animated
Hold on,
series.
wait. How do you peep this shit out?
Ink with a tattoo on his face. He actually shows up later in 1973 as a teenager. There's also an older Sabretooth, an older Quicksilver in the comics and the animated series. Bishop also had an M on his face.
Thank
He
you.
came from a different timeline, but in this movie, the fact that he has an M on his face makes it seem like he was at one point detained but broke free. According to Simon Kinberg, who wrote this movie, the mutant credited only as Young Mutant Scavenger is supposed to be Nate Gray. He was a super powerful mutant in the comics that Mr. Sinister created using DNA from Scott and Jean. Here he moves among the bones and bodies and is killed by a sentinel that finds him. We stare in his face as it lights up from sentinel opening its mouth. We zoom in on the X. The camera swoops down through strands of DNA and they change that. But unlike the mutant X gene DNA, there's this mechanical element to these changes, since what we are really seeing is the Sentinel's ability to adapt to any mutant. threat. And we arrive at the X-Store Cerebro. We open in Moscow. It's been ravaged by war, and just these depressing construction grids erected over the older buildings in a vain attempt to preserve their history.
They're a GE Profile dishwasher with Cascade Platinum Plus for our cleanest clean. Crest 3D White Professional, clinically proven whitening ingredients, 100% more stain removal. Crest.
Now, the film that preceded this was The Wolverine. In that movie's post-credit scene, Magneto and Charles were working together to stop the Sentinel threat. Clearly, they failed, but we saw how far in advance they were fighting to prevent this exact future from coming to pass, and they still failed. I always find it interesting when in that movie that Yukio sensed this apocalyptic darkness falling into the world. I wondered if it was this that she was seeing. So the Sentinels deployed from these cold, floating Kubrickian monoliths as like a symbol of evil technology, but they operate like drone insects. We learn later that all Sentinels are linked in a kind of hive mind, like a power absorbed by one of them is a power gained by all. It's just an interesting.
What the fuck? Really? No, man.
But we saw how far in advance they were fighting to prevent this exact future from coming to pass, and they still failed. I always find it interesting when in that movie that Yukio sensed this apocalyptic darkness falling into the world, and I wondered if it was this that she was seeing. So the Sentinels deploy from these cold, floating Kubrickian monoliths as like a symbol of evil technology, but they operate like drone insects. We learn later that all Sentinels are linked in a kind of hive mind, like a power absorbed by one of them is a power gained by all. It's just an interesting thematic statement for this movie, right? It's not really their ability to adapt
That's scary.
that makes them powerful. It's the fact that they're all just kind of linked together and don't have to question that. The real challenge of this movie is, can mutants, through time, change each other's hearts and connect for the greater good? These surviving mutants include James Proudstar, Warpath. He's super strong in his fake senses, which is why he is the one who stands lookout for the Sentinels. There's Clarice Ferguson, for the greater good. These surviving mutants include James Proudstar, Warpath. He's super strong in his fake senses, which is why he is the one who stands lookout for the Sentinels. There's Clarice Ferguson, aka Blink, who can create portals from one place to another. There's Kitty Pryde, Elliot Page returning to the role. Bishop, he can absorb and store energy. There's Colossus, played once more by Daniel Cudmore. Iceman, Bobby Drake, played again by Sean Ashmore. And Roberto da Costa, aka Sunspot, can absorb solar energy and turn himself into a kind of miniature sun to project heat waves outward. A different Sunspot will be in the New Mutants film. But Sunspot in this movie is kind of taking the place of Pyro, but Aaron Stanford Pyro is confirmed to return in Deadpool and Wolverine. So this group calls themselves the Three Mutants, and their uniforms feel kind of like a throwback to the original movies. The black leather, the colored highlights. Like the surviving humans in the Matrix films, they have to move from place to place as they're kind of hunted by AI machines, and they escape by the skin of their teeth. But I like how they've got this routine on lock. Bishop has Sunspot charge him up, and I like how Bishop doesn't even slow running as Kitty touches in the face through stuff last minute. Now the Sentinels here have a different design than they have in the comics or in the animated series, or even from the brief glimpse that we got in the Danger Room in The Last Stand. Production designer John Meyer described the design of the Sentinels as having evolved from machines into biomechanical weapons, saying, quote, they are almost made of mechanical plates slapped over one another. Imagining that the plates can contract or grow, so that the Sentinel can be skinny to get through a small space, or the plates can open up to become a bigger shape. They've become virtually unstoppable, the ultimate version that can actually, in principle, stop the X-Men.
Literally.
The idea of the plates kind of collapsing like scales is rooted all the way back in the original VFX design of Mystique, the 2000 film, where the way they had her shapeshift was just like scales turning over each other. It's just so cool to see those little production design elements work their way back through the film franchise. As they fight, Bobby shifts into his ice form that he discovered back in X3. The Sentinels keep adapting based on previous run-ins with the other mutants. So this one fighting Colossus adapts in real time as it grabs him and mimics his steel-like power. In the Rogue cut, it's actually explained that they're able to absorb the powers thanks to Rogue. So they're using Rogue's powers and Mystique's DNA together to absorb and adapt. So this way, it kind of shows that the most dangerous mutants,
really?
at least
I thought it, bro, really?
able to absorb the powers thanks to Rogue. Based on previous run-ins with the other mutants. So this
Really?
Colossus adapts in real time as it grabs him and mimics his steel-like power. In the Rogue cut, it's actually explained that they're able to absorb the powers thanks to Rogue. So they're using Rogue's powers and Mystique's DNA together to absorb and adapt. So this way, it kind of shows that the most dangerous mutants, at least to all of them collectively, are Rogue and Mystique. And since the Sentinels are all connected, as Sunspot fights one, he turns to ice, something he can do because the other Sentinel at the same time is fighting Iceman. As Sunspot uses his powers, the one fighting Iceman mimics his power. The Sentinels are just doing exactly what Magneto warned humanity would do, to turn mutants' abilities against each other. And what we see is just incredibly bleak. The Sentinel uses Sunspot's heat to melt Iceman. It snaps off his head and then stomps on it. the Sentinels adapt to Blink's power, figuring out her portal logic and stabbing her through one right as it's closing to put an end to it. Now, it's not clear what this facility is, but all the Cyrillic signage is just generic storage and safety signs. Wonder if those tanks contain nuclear waste, like somewhere in the Free Mutants thought the Sentinels wouldn't look. Remember, Sebastian Shaw in First Class assumed that all mutants were immune to radiation as children of the atom. Kitty displaces Bishop's consciousness back in time to warn themselves. In the animated series, Bishop was the first one to go back in time to warn the X-Men, but this family is not part of Shadowcat's power set. In the comics, it was Rachel Summers, who was Scott and Jean's daughter, and Franklin Richards, who sent Kitty's mind back in time. Rachel Summers was in an earlier draft of this movie, but writer Simon Kimber decided to make this just part of Kitty's powers. In past videos, I have described this type of time travel as Type 7, unstuck mind time travel, aka consciousness displacement. It's how time travel works in Kurt Vonnegut's Slaughterhouse-Five, and how it works with the character Desmond in Lost. It is my favorite type of time travel. I actually wrote a screenplay that none of you are ever going to read that uses consciousness displacement time travel. None of you are ever going to read it. So I just like the idea that this is what time travel is for us as we watch movies. Like, our minds drift back to past eras of our life as we relive our trauma or our victories. So we find ourselves back in a new form of Cerebro. This is a purple one used by Charles, and it looks awesome. As an X2, mutants are depicted in red, and humans depicted in white. One of them is getting killed executioner style, kind of like that infamous Baton photograph. And we see a mutant mother clutching her mutant child on this hollow projected interface in particular longitude. So from Charles' point of view, these mutants just keep copying location via Blink every time Bishop sneezes and tells the others, shit, we gotta run. It's just crazy to imagine each time these other mutants, Iceman, Sunspot, Colossus, Blink, Warpath, they all fight and die to Sentinels, not knowing whether Bishop and Kitty would be successful. So they just kind of face death openly with nothing but a prayer, and each time they do this for them, it is their first and only time they face Sentinels and die. Only Bishop would remember each round of deaths. That is a lot to carry. Now, theoretically, Bishop probably told them that Sentinels can absorb and gain their powers, but it would just be impossible for mutants like Bobby and Colossus to really practice that. So each time Bishop's kind of telling them these ghost stories of the threats eventually going to come and kill them, but he has to just say, trust me, in the multiverse, another version of you will never experience this. So they find this new refuge in an ancient temple in the mountains of China. And yes, on screen, they do label this as China, not Tibet, because the studio didn't want to take any chances with Chinese distribution. The Blackbird jet now seems to be powered by a new form of energy and arrives with Storm, a cigar-smoking Wolverine, Charles in an ergonomic hover chair, and Magneto. Hugh Jackman is the only actor who appeared in all the films up until this point. He actually holds a record for an actor who appeared as the same character in the most times in a superhero movie. He actually has some gray on his temples, so our man does age, or it's just been a stressful few years. Kitty and Bobby hold hands, their romance carried over from that subplot in X3, even though that movie ended with Bobby and Rogue together, but in the alternate timeline that means the movie see Rogue and Bobby still together, whereas Kitty and Colossus are teaching class together as the characters are linked together in the comics. Kitty explains how they stay ahead of the Sentinels, and Charles provides the other piece of the puzzle for this movie's plan, the historical origin of the Sentinel program. The February 1972 issue Popular Mechanics Boulevard Trask on the cover includes a headline that reads, "The spy plane we don't talk about," which could be a little nod to Blackbird. Coming from the success of Game of Thrones, Peter Dinklage was cast as Boulevard Trask. Bill Duke played a different Trask in X-Men: The Last Stand. We see Trask looking over studies of mutant experiments, ones that we get a better look at later, but we just see their fish-like anatomies, their deformed skin, as he was experimenting on them like they're animals. Charles says that Mystique learned what Trask was doing, and he recalls that he and Raven grew up together. So it's just kind of nice to hear from Patrick Stewart's now, confirming the events that we saw in First Class as part of his history. Charles says Raven assassinated Trask at a 1973 Paris Peace Accord, but was captured, and in a cruel twist of fate, her DNA was used to perfect Sentinel technology. And it's implied that Mystique's capture and her DNA harvested was part of the character's history, even in the 2000 and 2003 film.
I'm so glad I remembered Uber Eats has office supplies, but I feel like I'm forgetting something else.
What the fuck?
Oh, shoes untied.
No. Shoes untied. Ha, bitch!
We've been fighting the Harkonnens for decades. When we fight beside you, together, we can bury them. And I knife chip each other.
Does it make sense that the government would be more protected from a known shapeshifter posing as their senators and DHS secretaries? No, but just don't think about it. Kitty says that she can only send a mind back a few weeks, maybe a month, but any further would rip the mind apart. Logan says,
What if someone's mind has a way of snapping back?
he's referring to his healing power, but this would also explain why Logan could heal past Stryker's adamantium bullet to remember things from before that shot. But it would also mean that Logan would remember how confusing X-Men Origins left the timeline for at least the first part of this movie, with alternate versions of young Scott and the creepy, younger, walking Charles. So quick, snap this element's mind back to the past so we can eat Charles Sunshine, all that nonsense. It's fun to just laugh about it, but what I think this movie does so elegantly is it just kind of contains all of that Elseworld multiverse stuff in the minds of Logan and Charles Xavier. And we just get to look at the beautiful faces of Hugh Jackman and Patrick Stewart and always wonder, well, at the very least, it stays in their mind. And that's what made them come back and die in Logan such a fitting end.
Word. No, for real.
Charles Sunshine, all that nonsense. It's fun to just laugh about it.
Real life.
So elegantly is it just kind of contains all of that Elseworld multiverse stuff within the minds of Logan and Charles Xavier. And we just get to look at the beautiful faces of Hugh Jackman and Patrick Stewart and always wonder, well, at the very least, it stays in their mind. And that's what made them come back and die in Logan such a fitting end, because all of that would die with them. But now at least one of them is back and full Wolverine. But it just kind of makes their minds like Pandora's boxes of everything weird that happened in the X-Men movies. But this whole idea of consciousness time travel would be less familiar to audiences in 2014, so this line from Kitty really neatly establishes the stakes of the film.
Whatever you've done will take hold of history, and for the rest of us, it'll be the only history that we know.
So think about it, they're all so desperate, so beleaguered by their current reality that they're willing to just wash it all away for who knows what. The deleted scene would have shown Wolverine kissing Storm goodbye before he undergoes mind transference procedure. In the comics, the two were sometimes romantically linked, and in the animated series, they were married in an alternate timeline.
Wolverine, do not worry. You are stuck with me a little longer.
You know it, darling.
Oh, wow.
He was originally supposed to have a much larger role in his future past, but it was cut down because of pregnancy. So Kitty blasts Logan's temples, his adamantium claws come out. Now, 2013's No Wolverine ended with Logan's adamantium claws being chopped off by Silver Samurai, and he ended the movie with bone claws. When asked how Logan got his adamantium back, director Bryan Singer shrugged that Logan was just friends with Magneto, implying that Magneto would have grafted adamantium back on his claws. But really, the shot was just to establish a visual contrast to distinguish the present Wolverine from the 1973 Wolverine. Flash to white to the wake-up scene that's lava lamp, which for a moment makes us think we're seeing brain cells that are just kind of snapping back into consciousness. As he did in the 2013 movie, Logan just kind of wakes up disoriented. The song playing on the radio as he wakes up is Roberta Flack's The First Time I Ever Saw Your Face. The gray is gone from his hair now. He's also look-ass naked. One-upping the MCU strand of male nudity. We get butt here, guys.
We get butt here, guys.
Called for him to be wearing boxers, but he said in Australia, in Exeter, really, you can get out, you're not getting out with boxer shorts on a brace or anything. Really, I just think Hugh Jackman wanted to show off the insane physique he got into again for this movie, because later when he buckles his belt, notice that his pecs twitch again. Come on, Hugh. Now, when he looks outside, the billboard of the man smoking was actually a real billboard in Times Square in the 70s, and the Times Square news sticker reads, Brezhnev calls for, which is probably a nod to the Soviet leader Brezhnev and Richard Nixon's peace and disarmament talks during this Baton period. On the wall are some samurai swords and a framed picture of Mount Fuji, which could be a nod to his past and future in Japan from the events of the Wolverine. The striped brown and yellow curtains that he has are also reminiscent of his Uncanny X-Men 139 suit that he got in an alternate post-credit scene from that film. And I just love this retro revolver wallpaper. I'm just digging this pad. We learn that he's sleeping with the boss's daughter, Gwen, and she calls him Jimmy. So yes, he's going by his birth name, James Howland. This would be before his weapons plus procedure, so he still has bone claws. He accidentally nicks waterbed, reminding us of his clumsiness with his adamantium claws in the bathroom in X-Men Origins. So after killing that last goon, he catches the keys. He says, it's such a fun mantra for Logan in 1973. The Vietnam War was coming to an end, and the Cold War was cooling down during the detente period. America was just trying to give peace a chance, and so is Logan, trying in this movie. This might be the least violent we see Wolverine in a movie. In the Senate meeting the trash, there are two cameos from X-Men comic writers. He's the one who wrote the Days of Future Past comic and was brought on for the film as a consultant. The other cameo is from Len Wein, who created the character of Wolverine. Now, Senator Brickman is played by Michael Lerner. He's in a ton of stuff. He's an elf. He's in Barton Fink. He tells Trask.
And they are living here peacefully. That's what happened in Cuba.
Obviously, that's about the events that happened at the end of First Class in Cuba. Just kind of odd that this government is still skeptical about mutants' existence, but, you know, maybe Charles has been using cerebro to brainwash humanity as he did with Moira. The dissertation that Trask reads from senators outlines how the emergence of Homo sapiens led to the extinction of less evolved Neanderthal ancestors. And this was written by Charles. We saw him read part of it to Raven in First Class. It also reminds us of Sword Fletcher in the museum in X2. Okay, on to Saigon. A disguised Mystique goes to release the quarantine mutants. Her uniform reads Sanders, and this person's rank is Colonel Sanders. Yeah, Mystique is smelling of 11 or spices.
Retarded.
No heavy perfumes or dyes. Downy Light, the light scent that lasts.
See, like young ink, and then this one with quills on his head might be Evan Daniels, aka Spike from the X-Men Evolution TV show, although his power set in this film is different. It kind of causes people to pass out. Could just be a random spike they created. Lucas still is back as Havoc from First Class, and Mystique gives him a wink because back in First Class they were still friends. There's also a young Toad who's given a little redesign here to look more like he did in comics. Young William Stryker shows up, this time played by Josh Hellman. The Colonel Sanders actor is yet another performer who gets to play themselves as Mystique would be, and he just kind of carried himself with a bit of femininity. While in First Class, Mystique wasn't much of a fighter, now she acrobatically takes everyone down as a Rebecca Romaine era would. Now, if this would be part of the normal X-Men timeline before this movie altered it, would this mean the Brian Cox version of Stryker remembered this fight with Mystique? That could explain why he stepped out Mystique when she was posed as Wolverine in the Alkali Lake scene in X2. He's like, I always know my own work. But since Origin showed a Vietnam era William Stryker played by Danny Houston, I think we're just not meant to see those histories as the same. This movie just has some of the most interesting refrigerator logic. That's kind of a term that means plot holes don't bother you as you watch the movie, but when you get up from the couch and you go in the refrigerator and grab a drink, suddenly those plot holes creep into your head. But this movie gets around that by ending in a way that retcons the events of X-Men Origins, so we don't really care about the Hellman versus Houston issue. Thank you to BetterHelp for sponsoring this video. We've all got goals, BetterHelp, so you can connect with a therapist and see if it helps you. Havoc calls her Raven, and she responds, that's not her name. Because remember, in The Last Stand, she told the FBI interrogator that she doesn't respond to the slave name when he called her Raven. So we're seeing a version of Raven that has spent some time with Eric Lensher. After the mutants are safely on the plane and she transforms into a female soldier, Mystique's name on her uniform is Biggs, because B. Byron Biggs was a comics alias of Mystique, who is a billionaire with real estate all over the world that she would sometimes pretend to be. Logan seeks out Charles in his new, overgrown, Grey Gardens-esque shuttered school, and he forces his way in past Hank, who is visibly reverted to his human form by the end of First Class. He is so permanently in the blue beast form. So we know something is up. They have this exchange. I like that Logan acknowledges Beast's adult form, played by Kelsey Grammer, who Logan butted heads with in The Last Stand, and will show at the end of this movie. So we see how Charles can walk, but he looks like he's in the Blue Oyster Cult. He sits behind this chessboard, and the position that the board is in is chaotic. The king on the right side is knocked over, which in chess would mean he would resign. Logan explains the sensible future, and Charles remembers Logan from his First Class cameo.
I'm gonna say to you what you said to us then.
Now, off was Logan's original scripted line to Charles and Eric in First Class, but for one take, Hugh Jackman improvised "Go yourself," which is what made it into the final cut. And in the Logan film in 2017, Charles will tell him to off. We learned that after Charles was paralyzed and Eric and Raven left, Charles built the school and the labs, but became depressed when his students and teachers got drafted. So he started to take Hank's serum to suppress his powers, which Charles shoots up like heroin. Charles gets a photo of Raven in his room, suggesting that it's her in her human form, not her natural blue form, because that is how he knew her most of the time when they were together, but obviously she's changed a lot since they parted. Also next to the photo is a big old joint, because it's the 70s. He flashes back to when they met as kids in First Class, and this memory is what helps him decide to help Logan. Charles says that Eric killed JFK, which is why they're holding him prisoner beneath the Pentagon. It also would explain the magic bullet theory of the JFK assassination, because Eric would have been the one to make it bend midair. This is an idea left over from Matthew Vaughn's version of the film, back when he was slated to direct it. And after the X-Men Origins intro paralleled Zack Snyder's Watchmen that same year, in that movie's opening montage, we are reminded how that sequence of the comedian killed JFK. Logan says that he knew he would still be just a kid who could get into anywhere. Originally, the script had Juggernaut being the one that Logan goes to propel, but they changed it this movie to Quicksilver.
Juggernaut? Really? For what? Like, for what? Juggernaut? I ain't gonna lie. The way they set it up, that would have made more sense. But Juggernaut? No.
Comedian killed JFK. Logan says that he knew he would still be just a kid who could get into anywhere. Originally, the script had Juggernaut being the one that Logan goes to propel, but they changed it this movie to Quicksilver. They copied it. At Trask Industries, Mystique disguises herself as Trask to look at his files. His safe is hidden behind this giant painting of himself giving a robotic leg to an amputee. The ego of this guy. There's even a gold circle behind him resembling a large halo. In the autopsy reports, Mystique discovers a photo of the first mutantized name.
Fuck, Shotzi.
Janine Vertimer was the movie's set decorator. The second is listed as E. Kepharts, or Elsa Kepharts, who's the art department clerk. But the next photo is of Azazel, with his case number listed as 72663. The 36 is there, like the matches devilish appearance. There's also a photo of Angel with only one wing. Oh god, her death date is only 1 week after the events of First Class. This is awful. Next we meet this film's breakout star, Peter Maximoff, Evan Peters. We see Maximoff on the mailbox, and we know we're in for a treat. I love how there are major wear lines on the welcome mats, which I like. It's just so worn down because you come to an immediate stop when he gets there. and he would burst to an immediate speed when he leaves. We see how this speedster had just snatched a ton of stuff. There's a poster on the wall for the band Buffalo Springfield. That was the group best known for the song For What It's Worth. Stop, Hey, What's That Sound? Other posters with Yardbirds and the Doors can be seen. There's also a whole bunch of bowling balls, 2 skateboards on the wall, 1 red, 1 green, which are the colors for Wanda's kids' outfits, Billy and Tommy. There's a stolen parking meter, there's stop signs, there's a sign for no parking 8 a.m. to 5 p.m. school days. He's just kind of a hoarder because he's got sticky fingers. And I just love him when we first meet him. We see his powers from others' points of view. He just kind of teleports around. We see him suddenly eating the popsicle. In the next shot, the stick is completely clean. He is always snacking in this movie because he's constantly burning through calories. Notice how whenever there's a Quicksilver sequence, he's always stopping to eat stuff during it.
Mr. Clean Magic
Just like Flash.
through tough messes. So
Flash made that exact same point.
No, I didn't.
Makes my running shoe look like new. It's amazing.
It's so good. Makes it look like I have magical powers.
Magic eraser and sheets make cleaning look easy.
Nothing against the Aaron Taylor Johnson version of Quicksilver Age of Ultron. I really liked it. You just can't top what Evan Peters did. Notice how whenever there's a Quicksilver sequence, he's always stopping to eat stuff during it. Nothing against the Aaron Taylor Johnson version of Quicksilver Age of Ultron. I really liked it. You just can't top what Evan Peters does in this movie. So in the comics, Pietro Maximoff is the son of Magneto, and of course his twin brother, Wanda Maximoff. Pietro and Wanda Maximoff were disputed between Fox and Disney because they both wanted to feature them in movies around this time. Age of Ultron was being developed at the same time. They came to an agreement where the MCU could not refer to the characters as mutants or their lineage to Magneto, and that's why Age of Ultron refers to the characters as enhanced. The X-Men movies, meanwhile, could not reference the Avengers. So they staged this prison break from the Pentagon. Peter goes in as a guard, bringing Magneto's food. Notice how Magneto's number is 0001, just as it was in the plastic prison in X2. Just another reminder that he's first and only prisoner of this place. Peter rapid vibrates the glass to free him. Peter gets Eric out of lockup, and he asks him,
Take karate? No, karate. I know crazy.
This is actually a lyric from the James Brown song The Payback. Peter also says that his mom once knew a guy who could control metal, an obvious sign of the fact that Magneto is his father, and this gets confirmed in X-Men Apocalypse. This brings us to the best sequence of the film, where we enter Peter's powers from his perspective as he listens to Jim Croce's Time in a Bottle. We are literally seeing time in a bottle here. Time frozen nearly still in this watery container. Peter runs around the wall in a counterclockwise direction, which is his way of slowing down time. And this sequence I just think works best thematically because it is taking place in a movie about a hero going back in time. The slow motion sequence was filmed using mostly practical effects. VFX are just specific instances of the objects hovering in midair, with of course a mix of high-speed photography and stunt rigging. Notice how while Peter sets each guard on the path to knock himself out, he also changes the trajectory of knives and other lethal weapons that would have killed them. He saves their lives. So he's not just a prankster or Bart Simpson, he is a hero even if he doesn't mean to be. These shots here are just incredible. We see this bullet that is slowly piercing a droplet of water. We see the headline on this issue of the Washington Post that Quicksilver knocks over, reading Truth Supervisors belittled by two, which refers to South Vietnam's president at the time. There are actually many headlines in 1973 about what he was going to accept a ceasefire agreement. But while his priority is screwing with all the guards, it's almost an afterthought that Quicksilver saves his friends. So he just slightly redirects the bullets that are headed to Charles and Eric, but he waits to the very end to move the bullet that is headed right for Eric's face, as if he's considered letting his absent papa die. This sequence right here might be one of the all-time greatest displays of a superhero's power in any superhero movie. Because we touch with both from the perspective of the hero and just the dumbfounded perspective of the people we save. X-Men Apocalypse will try to recreate it by just making this really over the top, but I think this one is just so contained and so elegant. Now on the jet, there's another newspaper, the Washington Senate. Headlines are, he's treated to be cited an unemployment rate at 4.9%. Logan stabs the newspaper to stop Eric from taking it, and Eric says, imagine they were metal. Logan doesn't have to imagine because according to Bryan Singer, future Magneto will turn these claws metal. We learned that Emma and Banshee are also dead. Remember the last time we saw Banshee, he had stayed with Charles, but I guess he left to go to Eric's side at some point. They get into a fight, which causes the plane to chaotically shake through the air. They do some cool camera work here as Eric is shouting. It looks like he's getting taller and the sound exaggerated. They did the same kind of thing when Lord of the Rings, Fellowship, Gandalf, Ian McKellen, who's old Magneto, yells down at Bilbo. Later, Eric makes a peace offering to Charles in the form of a chessboard, asking him to advance the game. No matter what these two have been going through over the years, they always connect over a game of chess. But here, Charles turns it down, unwilling to find common ground just yet. Eric reveals that he didn't kill John F. Kennedy. The bullet curves because he was trying to save Kennedy, because Kennedy was a mutant. According to Simon Kimber, JFK's mutant ability is hypnotic charm. Eric's confession causes Charles to let his guard down, and the two bond over their desire to help escape. And after an apology, Charles agrees to a game with Eric. Eric says, quote, might finally be a fair fight. And it's interesting that them playing chess together has always involved a level of and trust. Because theoretically, Charles could be reading Eric's mind the whole time, but he doesn't, because it's more interesting for him that way, which just kind of reflects his relationship with her nature. Eric moves to April Pond with his powers, calling back the scene of him testing out whether his powers would come back at the end of X-Men The Last Stand. Onto Paris, the Vietnamese generals are partying in a club with a lot of pretty girls reminiscent of the club atomic scenes of the American generals in first class. Similarly, Mystique masquerading as pretty blonde and seducing the man in the bar, something that she did in X2, and her foot to the throat attack is also something that she did. She abducted Senator Kelly in the first X-Men film on a helicopter. At the Paris summit, there is a mix of handheld Zapruder-style shots and old-school-looking news footage. Singer really uses the tools of the decade here very successfully, more so than some of the past time period films of the franchise. The painting Liberty Leaving the People decorates a wall in the meeting room, which could potentially represent the Vietnamese winning the war, or to Trask, the threat to mutants overthrowing humanity. When they realize that there's a mutant in the room, Trask says, "No, don't shoot it, like they're animals in it." And whereas Charles calls her Raven, when they catch up to her, Eric uses Mystique as that was her mutant name, and we saw earlier that she prefers that. Logan recognizes Stryker, and his consciousness starts to slip, and he flashes back to scenes from X2. So really, this movie wants us to remember past X-Men films. Kitty struggles to hold on to him, and she gets a slash from his paws. In the Rogue cut, this was going to lead to them having to rescue Rogue from the X-Mansion to fill in for Kitty. In this movie, Kitty just kind of like holds on. Mystique jumps from the window, but cannot escape Eric's magic bullets. Bryan Singer has a quick cameo here as one of the guys holding the camera. There's also a cameo from mutant Thomas Siegel, cinematographer for all the Bryan Singer X-Men movies, as a guy with a hat and glasses that Mystique turns into to escape. As President Nixon asks what to drown with, he adds, "off the record," and an aide switches off the recorder, which is a reference to the missing section of Watergate tapes. There's also a shot of his 3 dogs, Pasha, Mickey, and King Timahoe, and they're all perfectly cast. Now, Checkers, which is Nixon's famous dog, thanks to the infamous Checkers speech, actually never lived in the White House since Checkers passed away 4 years before Nixon was elected president. That was back when Nixon was vice president during the Eisenhower years. Trask tells a room of very important people
She could walk into this office and order a nuclear strike if she was in the mood.
this is the same fear-mongering technique that Senator Robert Kelly will use years later when he asks the Senate what's to stop a little girl who can walk through the walls from walking into the White House. Now, one of the dogs barks at Trask, and I'm not positive, but this could be a little nod to the first episode of the animated series when a little dog barks furiously at one of the Sentinels. I don't know, it could just be because dogs can sense it. As Trask examines Mystique's blood, it transforms in a similar way that her skin and her hair do. He refers to this creature as extraordinary, which is similar to how Hank reacted in first class when he was studying her genetic makeup, which is just, gross. Trask asks Stryker about his son, Jason. Stryker says that he's almost 10. In X-Men Origins, we saw Jason being kept in ice, and he looks like he was maybe between 10 and 12 there. But yeah, we just don't forget that William Stryker is soon obviously started having a mutant son. We see a more advanced version of Cerebro than in first class, but still not as far along as it would be in the first film. Charles cannot handle the influx of thoughts that he's bombarded by. Young Charles looks in Logan's mind, and he sees the events of the past films. But then he looks at Logan's consciousness in the future and comes face to face with his older self, and it is awesome. Yes, this line was so good that it was brought back in Doctor Strange: The Multiverse of Madness.
Just because someone stumbles and loses their way doesn't mean they're lost forever.
And again, I don't think that the Ingredient universe is this same universe, but rather this is just kind of a constant that all Charleses say to lost wayward souls. Kind of like their version of with great power comes great responsibility. Now, in the Rogue cut version of this film, this is where we would get the alternate storyline, because the wounds that were gave to be cried earlier are now taking their toll. So Charles, Eric, and Bobby decide to go free Rogue, who would be held at the old X-Mansion. But in the theatrical cut, Eric uses his powers to get onto Trask's trains and hijack the Sentinels. Basically, Trask designed them without a scrap of metal, but Eric uses the metal railroad tracks to build robots with metal. It's pretty cool. Charles uses Cerebro to find Mystique at an airport and talk her through some old random people who all seem very shook after he releases them. Hank tells the others that he needs to show them something, and it cuts to a scene from Watch TV. This was actually an episode of Star Trek where the crew of the Enterprise is infected by something that lowers their inhibitions and causes them to act crazy. But at the end of the episode, the crew does a full power restart of warp engines, which causes them to travel 71 hours back in time. So this is when the group discovers that time travel is possible, which comes into play in later episodes and iterations. In fact, the finale of Star Trek: The Next Generation involves like a multiple timeline plot, which inspired Kevin Feige to use time travel in Avengers Endgame. But I will say, the way time travel works in this movie makes more logical sense than what we see in Avengers Endgame. I will go to my grave saying that, even though Avengers Endgame is probably a better movie at the end of the day, the timeline logic doesn't make sense in that movie, but it does kind of make sense here. It's just why I love Type 7. It's just natural, it's organic, and it combines the time travel logic within our lives. Now, in the road cut, a sequence shows the future Professor X helping Iceman and Magneto sneak into the old X Mansion, which is now a Department of Defense facility. This is where they got DNA to give the Sentinels the ability to absorb mutant abilities. So really, it would kind of cut back and forth between that and the younger Eric Lyncher going to get his helmet back, which is just fitting because they were sneaking into facilities to retrieve this kind of golden goose. So Magneto and Iceman find Rogue. Iceman touches her so she absorbs some of this energy in order to heal and to wake up. They're attacked by Sentinels as they try to escape, and Iceman is killed. Professor X and Magneto get Rogue back, and then from here forward, she absorbs Kitty's powers and takes over for her with keeping Logan's consciousness in the past. And it would have been awesome because we would have gotten this moment where Anna Paquin and Hugh Jackman would be back together again. It's just such a bummer that they removed this from the movie. Because you don't get as great of an end for Iceman, and Anna Paquin was top billed for this movie. We were all excited to see her again, so it's just a bummer that they weren't given the theatrical cut. And it's why I will always recommend watch the road cut. Now, the vault in the Pentagon that Charles breaks into to get his helmet back also has some first-class remnants on display. You can see the one of Angel's wings that was taken off, as well as Havoc's Stanley's uniform, and the coin that Magneto used to kill Sebastian Shaw. Charles, Logan, and Hank head to Washington, and in the future, the Sentinels catch up to the Free Mutants, which makes the ticking clock tick even faster. Because, as Kim Kravitz explained earlier, Logan is just kind of asleep, so it's not just like time travel in the past is instantaneous in the future. Since it's all within Logan's mind, it's happening in real time for both timelines. So in the past timeline, Logan walks through the metal detector, and he's ready for it to go off, like it always does, but he looks surprised back when it doesn't, because he's still just all bones. I believe it would have shown Charles in his wheelchair, seated next to a veteran in the wheelchair, and the vet would ask Charles what happened to him, and Charles would respond, friendly fire, which would, of course, be a reference to how Eric accidentally deflected the bullet into Charles in the universe class. Now, during his speech, President Nixon quotes Oppenheimer to reveal the Sentinels.
No, the world will never be the same again.
I mentioned it last week's breakdown of the Wolverine. Perhaps the most important historical figure from the 20th century was J. Robert Oppenheimer. Truly, all of history changed with that guy. Really, they should have sent Wolverine back in time to, like, Los Alamos. This other one stopped doing that. And then, like, 10 years before that, to the scientists in Germany who first created Vision. Be like, hey, don't do that. So Eric turns the hijacked Sentinels against the humans, which would be similar to the plot of the first run of the Ultimate X-Men, where Sentinels are sent to slaughter the inhabitants of Magneto's Savage Land enclave. Magneto reprograms them to only attack humans and sets them loose on Washington, D.C. Start quick-cutting between the Sentinel attack in the past and the Sentinel attack in the future. The warnings of Professor X in the opening of this movie that we're going to be destined on this path are now coming true, and we're all terrified. We can't escape it. A cutscene would have shown past Logan snapping out of his consciousness and attacking Hank because he suddenly forgot who he was.
How much bargain detergent does it take to clean your brother's tie? More. Keep going. Still not enough. More liquid doesn't mean more clean. Switch to Tide and get 3 times the clean with less.
Anything is possible when you smell like Old Spice sweater.
Nixon is brought down to a secret bunker, and Eric pins everyone in around the White House by dropping a freaking stadium around them. You can imagine that, like, after he built the Golden Gate Bridge next to the last stand, they're like, what can we have him do this time? Baseball stadium. And then the next apocalypse, are going to be like, all metal everywhere. Meanwhile, in the future timeline, all the mutants are working together to delay the Sentinels as much as possible. And again, you just have to imagine, they know they're going to die. It's just trying to slow them down. Storm powers up Bishop with her lightning, and she and Eric blow up the Blackbird in the midst of a group of Sentinels. Some shrapnel from that explosion hits Magneto, so you know he doesn't have much time left. If past Eric Lyncher could see what was happening to future Magneto right now, maybe he'd be rethinking his plans. We need someone who just talk from the future to the past. Logan, talk to them. Also, the irony of it being metal that ultimately does Magneto in, it just makes it extra tragic. Then Storm is stabbed by Sentinel, and notice how Charles in this moment feels that death. Magneto uses the last of his strength to reinforce the door, and Blake sends them into Charles and Kitty and Logan and Bobby. Bobby, who in this version is just kind of hanging out. Past Eric jams Logan up with a bunch of rebar and sits him down in Potomac. So now we are terrified. The one man at a time we thought was going to save us is off the board. The shot of the rebar twisting in and out of him is a visual reference to the comics where Magneto removed the adamantium from his skeleton. As Logan drowns in the past, he's also kind of drowning in the future. There's this really cool edit where future Professor X hears metal bending, presumably the Sentinel's trying to get in, but he looks up and it cuts to past Eric, arms outstretched, manipulating the metal on the White House. Past Eric literally rips the bunker out of the ground and exposes everyone inside, and he does the movie always loves to do, where he points everyone else's guns back at their owners. As past Eric points the cameras at himself, he makes a speech for all Americans to hear, and the remaining future mutants are just killed in brutal fashion. Bishop literally explodes. Colossus is ripped apart. Warpath is burned alive, and Blink is stabbed. As Sunspot blasts this one Sentinel with his powers, the Sentinel gives itself a diamond exterior. This would be a power that came from Emma Frost, who was was confirmed dead. Then another Sentinel stabbed Sunspot with these spiny claws that had presumably gained from Lady Deathstrike. As Past Eric continues his speech, Miss Maximoff watches on TV horrified, since this is obviously Peter's father. Peter's younger sister sits on his lap watching TV with him. This little girl will grow up to be the mutant Polaris, but in the deleted scene of this movie, from the road cut, this little girl is told by her mom to go bug her older sister, and this would have been Wanda she was referring to. And Past Eric's fiery speech gives way to a future Magneto's weak and dying last words. It's so sad. I'm reminded of Ian McKellen's soul speech in Two Towers, where he talks about all the past years of his life that he wasted. Ian McKellen is so good at this kind of thing. We see the two friends grasping hands. Meanwhile, in the past, Mystique poses as Nixon and shoots Eric in the neck, saving all the humans on national TV before she can turn around and kill Trask. Charles is a hero. He freezes everyone and tells her that he has faith in her. And as she makes her mind up, the future Sentinels break free and kill Bobby. Future Professor X raises his arm to shield himself from the Sentinel blast, but Past Mystique drops the gun, and her decision not to kill Trask erases the future. Moments before that blast was going to vaporize Charles. And it's just so beautiful to see. For once, the linchpin of history is not an assassination. A bullet curved the wrong way, but rather a change of heart and a decision to not pull the trigger. Now, deleted scene would show Nixon ordering Trask's arrest, remarking that mutants are not as bad as he was like to believe. Logan wakes up in a new timeline in Charles' school to the same song he woke up in 1973. Roberta Flack song. The first mutant he sees is actually the same young mutant scavenger in the beginning who stood by the Sentinel. The kid made it! Then he sees Rogue. In the regular theatrical version, this would be the only time she appeared on screen. In this timeline, she and Bobby are still together. Hank walks by and says, "Good morning, Logan." Kelsey Grammer's back in the role for the first time since The Last Stand. And yes, Storm is alive as well. All the sound stops as we hear Logan's breathing amped up. These cameos by Ben P. Jensen and James Marsden were considered the most crucial secret at the time, and it was such a shock and beautiful reveal that they're alive again. We learned that Logan is a professor of history, which is just perfect. And it's just so crazy to think that Charles was basically hanging out with Logan all these years, knowing that at some point his alternate history mind would just cosmically merge with his current mind, and he'd need to have the blanks filled in. And again, what's so elegant and beautiful about this film is all the secrets of the past are just contained in the minds of these two mutants. Like Marty McFly looking up at Ethan Back to the Future to find himself in an alternate happy ending, which this movie's ending is totally referencing. And instead of Marty and Doc, it's Wolverine and Professor X. Now in the past, Logan is fished out of the water by who we think is Stryker, but it's actually Mystique. They do the whole stupid yellow eyes thing again. I'm assuming Logan still had the weapons plus procedure done on him in this timeline. It's never really clear where it goes from here. I mean, the next bit of Apocalypse is in Alkali Lake facility, but like, why would he be there if he was with Mystique? In an alternate ending, it would have actually been Stryker fished it out, but they wanted to do something weird with Mystique, and we never really know. So essentially, in this movie's altered 2023, the events of X-Men: The Last Stand did not happen, but since Jean Grey is alive, neither did X2. Or maybe they did happen, they just happened in alternate timelines that were no longer on. Meanwhile, in the past, since we saw a different path for Wolverine and Stryker, we're to assume that X-Men Origins would have been erased as well. But for a moment, when this movie came out, the future of the X-Men franchise looked as bright as the MCU. A future timeline with all of our favorites back together again, and a past timeline with younger heroes that could place its own destiny on its own timeline. But other than Logan and the Deadpool movies, right here, this would be the last good X-Men film. And that includes a crazy post-credit scene where we see a young Insaban nerd, Apocalypse, the very first mutant, and all of his worshippers in ancient Egypt as he assembles the pyramid. And then over on the hill behind him are the Four Horsemen. This obviously would lead to X-Men Apocalypse, where we meet the past Four Horsemen, and then he recruits a new Four Horsemen lineup from the roster of X-Men. But in the Rogue Cut, an alternate post-credit scene would have showed Trask being Captain of Pentagon and Magneto's old cell. This moment here is as cool as Insaban nerd will look, and then he gets Oscar Isaac. It's just they did some crazy things with him, as we'll get to in a couple weeks. But next week, we'll be breaking down 2016's Deadpool. And since that Deadpool Wolverine trailer came out, I know you're all going to want to watch that breakdown. Follow me on Instagram and Twitter at EABoss. Follow New Rockstars and subscribe to New Rockstars. Woohoo! Thanks for watching. Bye.
Yeah, I think it's time to go, y'all. I think it's time to go. Ow, ow, ow. I think it's time to go. Ow, ow, ow. I think it's time to go. 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 Oh, oh. I think it's time to go. I think it's time to go. I think it's time to go. it's time to go right now. I think 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 it's time to go. I think it's time to go. I think it's time.